Last time on Oklahoma Grand.
We have a $245 million capital restoration project here that will take place over a span of between 7 and 8 years. So it's a massive project. We're doing it all while the building is occupied and they're using it.
It's a working space.
Yes, a lot of logistics to overcome, but it's an exciting project to restore this beautiful people's house for the wonderful people of Oklahoma.
And you're doing work inside the building.
Yes.
And you're doing work outside the building.
That's right.
Do you have different construction companies?
Yes, so on the interior, our company is Manhattan Construction.
Okay.
On the exterior, we have J.E. Dunn Construction Company.
Okay, can we take a look at some of the outside?
Yeah, let's head outside and look around.
Okay, great.
Building's been repointed, we believe, twice.
Okay.
So the last time it was repointed, though, they went in typically with very shallow mortar. Okay. And because it's shallow, they really couldn't properly compact it into the joint, which means it really didn't make the right contact with either stone. Otherwise, it would have just kept falling to the back.
Yeah.
So we know they didn't compact it very well. And the building has very fine joints, which is typical for a high-style building like this to have very narrow joints. That also means that the mortar tends to dry out more quickly. So if they weren't curing it properly and they weren't placing it properly, you'll see if you laid it on the inside.
Oh, because when they
the
built it,
building.
there was no air conditioning.
Correct.
So you'd hike up the window, turn on a fan.
Right. So
now you got to set your temperature.
The interior restoration that's going on now will really help improve the entire HVAC process in the inside of the building.
So they've sealed it up. Now it's climate controlled.
Correct. And as you can see, we have already gone through and installed the new window sealants. So previously, the old windows, we don't believe they were watertight. So all of the original hardware you can kind of see on the inside.
Do I see a chain?
Does get put back into place. Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of a dummy.
Yeah. It's
nice
not
touch.
operable, but you can tell by what was done originally for the historical purposes. We would go ahead and put back that chain that was there previously.
Yeah, I noticed the latches on top are still there.
Yes, yeah, the latches, the majority of them are restored.
Okay.
We did go ahead and put in new chains because the chains previously were in such bad shape it would have cost more money to try and restore them and fix them than it would just to purchase new.
So this is a chimera, a winged lion. It's a fantastical creature that does not exist in nature. We have 8 of these beautiful carvings on the building. They were carved from one block of stone. It started off as 60,000 pounds.
Oh my God. And do they all match?
Yes, they're all very similar to each other.
The chimney actually serves the Blue Room, which was the historical stateroom on the second floor of the Capitol building, and the Senate Lounge. Both of those rooms have chimneys. If we were in the room that's right below that chimney, you would see 2 flues that kind of converge into one, and they come up right out there.
Now, are there other fireplaces in the building?
Yeah, so there's a fireplace in the house lounge too, so you'll see a chimney on the other side of the building.
But just 4 total or 3 total?
I believe 3 total. So if you look behind us here, all of the windows, the stone have been restored, the stone has been repaired, new mortar has gone into the joints, the stone has been cleaned, new glass in the windows, so all of these areas behind us have been completely done. So up to this point, we have restored 5 of the 12 elevations on the Capitol building.
Okay, so let's head inside. Sit tight as we begin part 2 of our behind-the-scenes tour of the Oklahoma State Capitol renovation project. So Trey, you say we're on the Senate side of the Capitol?
Yes, we're in the Senate area on the 6th floor of the Capitol building. And this is not a full and complete floor. This is kind of like a loft area at the very end of the Senate chamber.
Okay.
There's a similar area on the House side at the very far end of the House chamber on the 6th floor as well.
We're on the very east.
That's right.
Very east,
we're on the very east side of the building.
So this is pretty raw looking.
Yeah, and so what you can see above us here are these support trusses for the roof.
And these are all original.
And this is all original. They've gone through here, and the Senate had requested that we, there used to be a drop ceiling that obscured these trusses up here. The Senate likes them and has requested that they be exposed, so we went through and painted them, got all the rust off of them, so they look really nice now. And you can also see you know, the really high roof up here.
Yeah.
And they wanted, this is going to be a kind of an open area where they can have meetings or maybe lunches and something like that up here.
Now, what is this strange-looking thing coming out of the floor going into the ceiling?
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. This is, if we look over here, this is a chimney flue right here, and then on the other side is a chimney flue, and then right here is the support structure to hold both of them together.
So the old flue, is that the chimney we saw on the roof?
That's the chimney we saw on the roof.
Well, look at that.
So these two flues, one from the Senate Lounge, one from the Governor's Blue Room, converge right up here and come out the top.
So the fireplaces are below us, but they're not operable anymore.
Not
so why
operable
is this
anymore.
here?
Well, this we had actually proposed getting rid of this because we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
But the Pro Tem's office and the Senate, they really liked it and they wanted to keep it. They thought it was an interesting conversation piece, so we're actually going to keep it up here.
Well, that is pretty neat.
And
Wow.
so this is going to be a nice little area up here. We're putting a new place up here for all of the electronics and sound equipment for the Senate chamber, which is actually just right behind this wall over here. And there's going to be room for a few offices up here.
Okay.
So this is going to be good, useful space for the Senate when it's completed in February.
Okay, so this is going to remain open,
Yes.
and over here to the left, this will be divided up into offices.
That's exactly right, yes.
And all new heating, electrical,
Anytime,
plumbing.
yeah. Anytime we get into a new area, we completely gut it and we put in all new infrastructure. So if there's not anything historical there that we need to keep and maintain, it's new electrical, new plumbing, all new paint, new wiring, new data and cabling, the whole 9 yards. You know, really, we want to preserve the historic aspect of this building, but all the things that make the building run, we want to be modern 21st century equipment.
You mentioned historic. I imagine this is going to need wood trim. It'll need doors.
Right.
You just match the existing, or do you
So
preserve?
we'll
How do you
actually will go in. Part of our new standards for the building are putting in wood trim and wood doors.
Okay.
We're not as concerned about fire danger as they would have been back 100 years ago.
I'm seeing, is this all sprinkler?
Yeah, so we'll be putting in brand new sprinkler system
Okay,
and
so
sprinkler
they didn't
lines.
have
and-
that 100 years
right.
ago.
No life safety in most of the buildings. So now
Okay.
we've got all of that equipment to use. So.
Okay, so you'll be adding wood. So the other trim in the building, is it plaster and metal?
Where there's plaster now, we go back with plaster. We will use some wood trim and some crown molding and things like that in other areas. In the new basement area, there's some wood trim in our ground floor hallways and corridors. So we're not necessarily sticking with original material because we have the ability to do things now that they didn't have to do back then because of fire danger.
But you can get the style
Exactly.
with a new material.
We can keep it period appropriate for sure.
Okay. So Trey, tell me about the new visitors entrance to the Capitol.
One of the things that we're trying to do with the whole Capitol building is making it much more user-friendly to the first-time visitor or people who may not come up here very frequently.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're doing up here is we are adding a brand new visitor entrance.
So right now, if I get my bearings, I walk along here, go through here, and go into security, right?
That's
kind of on
right.
the side of the main doors.
And it was never intended to be the main entrance where
Yeah.
people enter now. The main entrance was always supposed to be up these beautiful stairs into the building at the second floor, and then you have the beautiful grand staircase.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, because of numerous factors, security being one of them, but mostly because it's not disability accessible anymore, that can't ever be the main entrance anymore, even though we're going to restore it and hopefully it'll be open again.
Huh.
So now we have this as our solution, and it checks off several important boxes for us. First of all, it's a more secure entrance. Second of all, it connects into the tunnel that goes across underneath Lincoln Boulevard to the east. And so now
Parking lot over there.
And so now we're bringing multiple visitor groups in at one place instead of multiple places in the building. This serves as an airlock because we are climate controlling all of the interior areas of the building that are not currently
The
climate
windows
controlled.
don't open anymore.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
And so we're doing that. And it's just going to be a much better way, much more impressive way for people to enter the building.
Yeah, it kind of felt like we were going to the side door right now.
That's exactly right. And
'Cause
it's
we
not.
are.
It's not a good impression for
No.
visitors.
So this is just to the east of that.
That's
The
right.
main entrance, and then it'll be this nice garden area, walk in. And what will be down on this? So this is the basement. Can I go to the basement today? Like what's in the basement currently?
The basement is currently public space. There's
Okay.
a few agencies that are located down there, but mostly it's storage rooms and it's utility space, and it's
Okay.
not prime public space.
Okay.
Under the new way that we're doing the restoration project, the basement is going to become prime public space because it's the level that all of the visitors will
Yeah,
come in.
will be in there.
So the first thing we're going to do is change the name.
Uh-huh.
We're not going to call it the basement anymore. We're going to call it the ground floor because it has a
Okay.
better connotation. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to locate all of the visitor amenities that a user in this building would need down at that level.
Like,
We're talking expanded restroom banks. We're
Okay.
talking food service. We're talking an
okay.
exhibition area to be able to tell the story of the Capitol building. We are
Nice.
talking the visitor center where someone can go buy souvenirs and get
Mhm.
tours. And we're even talking things like nursing mothers' rooms, where if we have a nursing mother in the building, a private area for them to be
so you're
able to
really upgrading everything.
Exactly. And so
Okay.
now instead of visitors having to hunt and peck all over the building to find
Mhm.
where's the food or where's the visitor center, it's all going to be at one level.
This is right
Very
there.
convenient and easy.
And these are renderings.
These are renderings, exactly right. So one of the biggest changes that visitors will see is we're actually going to cut a hole in the first floor rotunda, drop it down, and so that way
So this doesn't exist right now.
that doesn't exist right now. That's
Because
exactly
I can
right.
look up from what floor
The first floor.
up.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in the basement, I can't.
That's right.
So that's going to be, wow, that'll be beautiful.
And we want, since this is going to become primary public space now, we want to connect that area
Yeah.
with the rest of the building.
Okay.
Plus, we're adding about 15 to 17 feet of that view up to the very
Yeah.
top of the stained glass state seal up in the
Okay.
top of the dome. So it's going to be very impressive. So the basement's going to go from this sort of dark, dank, windy corridors, not primary public space. It's going to have high ceilings. It's going to be wide open. It's going to
Okay.
be very open and inviting for the visitor.
This seal hill, is that currently on the first floor?
So it's currently on the first floor.
So we'll relocate that.
It won't be able to be relocated because it's terrazzo and it probably won't come out in
Oh,
one
sure.
piece. So we're actually going to recreate a new seal, and right now we're actually looking at bronze for down
interesting.
there. So,
Okay.
but we haven't made a final decision yet.
Oh, there are so many moving parts, I can't imagine.
Yeah, this project is some days it can be a logistical nightmare, but it's certainly a labor of love because it's very exciting to get to think about what this building is going to be in a few years.
Speaking of that, how long has the lifespan of this project?
We started this project in June of 2015.
June of 2015.
So we've been going for a little over 2 years now.
And when do you anticipate completion?
The interior of the building will be complete in 2022. The exterior of the building will be complete in 2019.
Wow. Okay. So you're going to be here for a while.
Yes, we will be here for a while, and it's pretty typical for a capital restoration of this
Yeah.
size and nature. You know what people don't realize, this is a 450,000 square foot building.
Oh,
It is very large, and
Yeah.
we are going to touch every square foot of it by the time we're done with this project. So it's a lot to wrap your arms around. Well, I'd like to introduce you to Andrea Gossard. She's our project manager for Manhattan Construction Company.
Nice to meet you, Andrea. Why don't you tell me what I'm looking at up here in the ceiling?
All right, well, what you're looking at is a lot of hours of hard work. Believe it or not, once we take the ceilings out of this space, there's miles and miles of abandoned cabling,
Yeah.
old piping, all sorts of existing utilities that are long since abandoned. They're completely out of use.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a work in progress of getting rid of the old. You can see there's some new parts and pieces up there. We add a lot of new valving. Something that this building has lacked in the past is the ability to do maintenance work without shutting down the whole building.
So now you can isolate.
Exactly. So we do a lot of work to add valves in the right location so it's more functional in the future. And just every time we tackle a new space, we try to get out the old, get the new in as quickly as possible. And
So are you replacing all of the electrical?
Yes. Pretty much 100% of the infrastructure will be brand new, 2017 standards by the time we leave here.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Now, how much wire are we talking? I think
We're talking miles and miles,
Miles
and
and
between
miles.
the data cabling, the phone cabling, the electrical
Yeah.
cabling, you could string it to here in Tulsa and back probably a few times.
and all the plumbing?
All the plumbing, that was one of the first things we tackled, the new main sewer line has already been replaced. It's tied into the city line. We haven't made it all the way over to the east wing, but we're working our way over there diligently.
So we're on the basement level, right?
Yes, sir.
In the future, it'll be called the ground level.
Yes.
Let's head in and look at that.
Yeah, full restoration down here. It'll be 100% new. This is our adaptive reuse classification for this zone. So a little bit of a blank slate for us.
What was in this room?
Well, in this room was a lot of different rooms. Existing,
okay.
there was about an 8-foot wide corridor. It was very dark. The ceilings were very low. And then just several offices and all sorts of stuff kind of smattered along the way. But as you can see here now, we've gotten rid of all the old utilities. We've vaulted the ceilings.
So there's no restoring here. You're creating.
No, we 100% took out everything that was existing here and recreating with a little bit of historic reference,
Sure.
but nothing that's going to completely replicate the past to seem like it was original to the building.
Okay. But now, are we looking at, let's go over here. Is this limestone?
Yes, this is actually Indiana limestone. It's the exact same material that they used to build the exterior of the building originally. So the concept is kind of bring some of the outside elements in,
okay.
set a big heavy base as you would expect in this building, and again trying to tie in, make historical references,
Nice.
but in the appropriate way.
Okay. And you vaulted the ceilings, you say, and there'll be historic replica light fixtures, I imagine?
Yes, sir. Historic replica light fixtures. We actually have a company out of St. Louis that specializes in historic replication. So one of the things we'll do in the rotunda spaces, we'll take all those existing light fixtures down. We'll refurbish them, so we'll clean them up. Over the years, a lot of dust, dirt, tar, all the things from, smoking when people used to smoke in the building.
Have they been there for 100 years?
They have, for the most part, several of them, the vast majority anyways. And it's surprising, once you refinish them, they shine into a nice copper finish.
Really?
So these are actually bronze. We elected to go with the bronze fixture. Again, we're not trying to replicate what they did. It's a little bit more cost prohibitive to do copper in 2017 than it was in 1917. But yeah, it'll be a nice note for the basement, again, working to tie in the whole concept.
Okay. So Andrea, Trait mentioned that they're going to be cutting a hole in the floor of the first floor. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And we're basically under that?
This is exactly where the cut will occur in the existing structure.
So right above us.
Right above us. Fortunately, the original structure accommodates it very easily.
Okay.
So not a tremendous amount of structural work to be done, mostly just cutting out the existing slab.
But that's poured concrete, right?
It's absolutely poured concrete.
And how thick?
It varies.
Yeah.
In 1917, they did things a little bit differently than we do it here today.
Yeah.
But it'll vary anywhere from 5 to 8 inches.
Okay.
So
It's
a healthy amount of concrete, but it's pretty typical for what we've experienced around the building.
But I am looking at electrical everywhere. And this room here, let's go in here.
Yeah.
This is under the rotunda. It can't be here in a couple of years. Where does it all go?
Right, so we actually started working on relocating this portion of the building. This is the existing main electrical room.
Yeah, I can hear it.
We started working on relocation of this about a year ago, and we'll finish up in about 2.5 years.
Relocating, where do you put it?
New electrical room established here off the west corridor. It's in the west wing. It was obviously one of the first major milestones that we needed to achieve, is electrifying that. And so piece by piece, as we complete renovations, slowly but surely the electrical will be transferred, and we'll be able to get rid of this.
So this column, and this column,
Yes, sir.
and that column, they're creating the circle.
They absolutely are.
Oh, I can't wait to come back. That's going to be amazing.
Give us a little time, but in about 3 years, we'll be cutting the hole.
And he also mentioned the seal. Let's go back out here. If I'm judging this correctly, this is where the seal's going.
That is roughly where the seal will go.
You're going to have an artist. Look at that.
Yeah, so a notable here, and it's something you experience a lot of times in renovations, the existing slab conditions vary just because of the means and methods of days of past. So we spend a lot of time cutting out existing concrete,
Okay.
and specifically in this area because we will come back with marble stone flooring on the ground level.
okay.
So anywhere the marble stone flooring is going to exist, we have to cut out the concrete and actually drop the slab roughly 3 inches because the full assembly is a floating monolithic marble slab floor. So not something we do a lot. It's not at all ceramic tile like you have in your kitchen. But it'll really be a beautiful floor when we're done.
Because this currently is a mess. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but we're going up and down, and there's patches. This looks like floor level where I'm standing on.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time going in and shooting in floor elevations when we first got the basement gutted. There's about 20 different floor elevations throughout the ground level.
On the one level?
On the one level.
Oh, wow. Well, you got your work cut out for you.
Yes, we do, but it's been really, really great thus far. Couldn't ask for a more smoothly managed project, that's
Really?
for sure. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you letting us in here because this is going to be great to look back on
Yes.
once we see this finished product in a few years.
All right, well, we've seen the old stuff, so let's take a look at the new electrical room.
Wow. I mean, this is a work of art. Look at the bends in those pipes.
Yeah, this is a pretty big leap forward for the state capitol inside of this room. Absolutely state-of-the-art equipment, the highest level of craftsmanship, even from the way they ran the conduit. Everything is the very best that you can ask for. These are the main busway controllers for the switchgear, a little bit different than the breakers you've got in your panel at home.
Now, with advances in technology, did you need as much square footage?
Well, we did utilize about the same square footage, but significantly more technology and more components in this room than what you would have
So you're
gotten
doing
in
a
the
lot
old one.
more with the same space.
Yes, absolutely. 3 of the biggest items are along that wall. Those are actually our automatic transfer switches and
what does that do?
controllers. Those are for the emergency generator, which will be the
Ah,
first time
yeah.
the state capitals had an emergency power system.
First time.
First time. They had parts and pieces of it, but not one that was standalone in the way that the emergency generator will be.
Oh, very nice. These are amazing.
Yeah, and the even more amusing part is over there, there is a computer screen that has real-time graphics,
Let's head
real-time
over there.
readouts. You can actually, at any time, you can pull up what the temperatures are on the switches. You can look at any of the faults. It tells you any of the tripping that's going on. If you need to troubleshoot it, it's right here at your fingertips. So everything, technology is added to the maintenance aspect of everything. So again, just a major upgrade for the state capitol.
Wow, that is quite a machine.
Yeah, it is. This is one of the most major additions to the building. Again, like I said, the emergency backup to the building was not really present before. It was here and there, but not in this capacity. So this is an in excess of 800 kVA natural gas powered emergency generator. It will support all of the major critical functions to the building. You can't necessarily sit in your office and work on your computer, but what it will do is keep all the life safety systems alive. It'll keep the emergency lighting going, so if people need to egress from the building, they can get out safely.
How about this? How did you get it in here?
Well,
We walked through double doors.
we did. Believe it or not, we had some structural repairs to do to the structural decking above us, so we actually popped the top and dropped it in.
Yeah, that's not fitting through the door I came through.
This is about 12,000 pounds on just the motor part. It came in pieces, so we had to assemble it in the room. That was also tricky.
Yeah.
But the motor itself weighs in excess of 12,000 pounds, so it was a hefty piece of equipment.
It's fascinating. I'm by no means a car expert, but it looks like I'm seeing an alternator, batteries, intake. We got exhaust. Those almost look like spark plugs.
It works surprisingly similar
Yeah.
to the car, probably a little more efficiently and a little more instantaneously.
Yeah. So power goes out.
Power goes out.
What timetable are we talking?
It's going to be mostly a blink. Somewhere between 3 and 5 seconds is typical response time to fire the generator. Of course, again, it is natural gas powered, so it is like an engine. It does start up, but 3 to 5 seconds is the transfer switching.
Wow. What a nice addition.
Yes,
That is
very,
good.
very important to bringing the Capitol into the modern age. Here we are in yet another area in the ground level. This is the future home of the new visitor entrance.
Kind of where that light is over there will be the front doors.
That'll be the front door. That'll be the security entry.
What a mess this is. Look at those wires and ducting.
Yeah, we're getting kind of desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Every time we go into a new
No, it's
space,
pretty ugly.
it's same story. So.
And it's storage. So this is a later phase.
Yes, this is a later phase. Until we open the west entry, we can't move around to this portion of the building because, of course, this building is a functioning building 365 days a year, really. So we have to methodically move through the building and plan our sequences very carefully to keep construction moving, but also keep this building going.
So the west entrance with the nice limestone and the vaulted ceiling, when does that open?
That will be open by February 1, 2018.
2018. Okay, well, that's exciting. You got some work to do. Do you need to get back to work?
Yeah, probably need to get back
Well,
there.
thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Sir.
Well, there you have it. A fascinating behind-the-scenes tour of the work going on inside and outside of your state capitol building. This is a renovation project of a massive scale, with literally miles of new mortar, electrical wire, and plumbing. You know, in 2017, we celebrated the 100th anniversary of this impressive structure, and I sure appreciate the countless men and women that are working year-round to ensure that this historic building can be used and enjoyed by all of us for generations to come. They are all great examples of what make Oklahoma grand. Oklahoma Grand is a proud partner with TEAM, an interfaith nonprofit organization determined to break cycles of incarceration in Oklahoma. Visit team.org. Oklahoma Baptist University, offering a fully online MBA in Project and Energy Management, International Business, and Leadership. Visit okbu.edu/graduate.
Producers Playhouse. Creative visual communications for Oklahoma since 1997.
If you missed part 1 of our behind-the-scenes tour, you can see that episode and all of our past episodes by visiting oklahomagrand.tv.